An Aboriginal corporation could potentially become a type of pyramid scheme, or exhibit characteristics of one, by mismanaging community funding if its primary financial activities involve paying large salaries to board members and directors rather than benefiting the wider community. However, it's important to understand the difference between a pyramid scheme and mismanagement of funds. Pyramid scheme definition. A pyramid scheme is a business model that recruits members by promising payments or services for enrolling others into the scheme, rather than providing legitimate products or services. It relies on constantly recruiting new participants to sustain itself, and the money generated primarily flows to those at the top of the hierarchy. How it could happen in an Aboriginal corporation recruitment-based funding flow. If the corporation's structure incentivizes directors or board members to bring in new members or outside investors, with the primary flow of funds going to the top leadership rather than being distributed for legitimate projects, this could begin to resemble a pyramid scheme. However, most corporations would not typically follow this structure, and such practices would likely violate governance laws. Misuse of community funding. If an Aboriginal corporation receives community funding but spends it disproportionately on high salaries and benefits for its board members and directors without allocating meaningful resources to programs, services or initiatives that benefit the community, it could be seen as mismanagement or corruption. This is not necessarily a pyramid scheme, but it could be unethical or illegal depending on the governance rules and regulations the corporation is subject to. Lack of community benefit. If the funding is continually raised, like through grants or donations, under the premise of supporting community projects, but most of the money is funneled into executive compensation without producing actual community value, this could raise suspicions. It would not meet the classic definition of a pyramid scheme, but could be described as a fraud or a scam, depending on the transparency and intent.
Legal and ethical issues.
Corporate governance laws. Aboriginal corporations in Australia are regulated by the Office of the Registrar of Indigenous Corporations, ORIC, under the Corporations, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, Act 2006, CATSI Act. This act imposes standards for transparency, accountability, and the use of funds. A corporation engaging in practices that excessively benefit board members at the expense of the community could face legal action, even if it does not technically operate as a pyramid scheme.
Breaching fiduciary duties. Board members and directors of corporations have fiduciary duties to act in the best interest of the organisation and its stakeholders, the community in this case. Paying only the salaries of board members while neglecting community programs could be a breach of these duties, leading to consequences such as investigation, penalties, or legal action.
Conclusion. While it's unlikely for an Aboriginal corporation to be a pyramid scheme in the traditional sense, focusing funding on salaries rather than community development can lead to accusations of mismanagement, fraud, or ethical violations. Clear governance and transparency are essential to ensure that such corporations operate for the benefit of the communities they are meant to serve.